Hey, we started the show talking about how impressive the Knicks were. The Clippers actually have a better roster with more good players. Kawhi Leonard's much better than anybody on the Knicks. Paul George is more offensively gifted than anybody on the Knicks. But the Knicks beat them. And one of the reasons they beat them is the Clippers are awful late in games. They're terrible. Paul George can get tentative. They don't have, outside of Kawhi, another scorer after Paul George you can depend on for 25 a night. But if you look at their late game clutch statistics, and I'll put them on the screen here for our FS1 viewers, there are 5 teams in the NBA who are terrible in something called clutch points. That's the last 5 minutes of a game with a point differential of 5 or less. 4 of the teams have no talent. The Cavs, the Magic, the Thunder, and the Rockets. Then there's a team with a bunch of talent, the Clippers, that's second worst in the league. What the hell's going on? It's not that hard to figure out. This is the issue when Kawhi Leonard's your star. He doesn't talk. He's odd. He's nonverbal. By the way, who is second best in the NBA in clutch points? The Suns, because Chris Paul talks and yells and coaches and barks and screams. I never bought into this, leadership is, walk softly, carry a big stick. You got to talk. It's why the Packers and Aaron Rodgers are in trouble. Talk. That's leadership is talking and communicating, not being a big, strong guy who's silent. When Kawhi is your star, you're bad if he's the culture setter. You're bad late in game. This is 2 years now. It's been a problem. How in God's name are they the second worst team in clutch points? Ty Lue's won a title. It's not him. They've got talent. The other 4 teams around them in the NBA stats are bad. This is Kawhi. You say, well, what about San Antonio and Toronto? Those cultures were set. He was icing on a very formidable cake. He is the cake with the Clippers, and he doesn't talk. He's nonverbal. He doesn't distribute. When you got to give this team to Rondo with 5 minutes left. Paul George, very talented, but his history is he gets very tentative and tight late. Kawhi can drop a bucket, forget him leading. Just have him be what he is, a shot maker. That's what he is. But you look at the Clippers, they have top 8 in the NBA bench scoring. Excellent bench. They've got a coach that's won a title. They have 2 stars. They've got a 3-and-D guy, Nicholas Batum. That's a championship team. They are ready to win, microwave and win. And they're awful at the end of games. It makes no sense until you think of, well, who's running the team? By the way, the Suns are suddenly great at clutch scoring. Chris Paul's verbal. LeBron's teams have generally been good late. He's verbal. He's a coach on the floor. The Warrior teams have generally been very good late. Why? Steph Curry is verbal. It's not complicated stuff. Is that you cannot have this roster and be this bad late in games. You got to hand it over to Rondo. Let him do what he does. They call him playoff Rondo for a reason. Last year he was great for the Lakers in big spots, and he wasn't a necessity for the Lakers. He was an additive, a bonus, because with LeBron you had the leadership. But this is kind of what you get when your culture is set with Kawhi Leonard. And last year, what was the big issue with the Clippers? I got fooled on it. Chemistry. Again, chemistry is not a problem when your leader is a communicator. Chemistry is a problem when your general manager in Green Bay won't talk to your prickly quarterback. Then it's a problem. So watching the Clippers yesterday, I'm like, this roster's way too good to be this bad at the end of basketball games. It makes no sense. They are just easily disrupted. Now, again, the Knicks deserve credit. Knicks play real defense. Thibodeau's a great defensive coach. But if you look at the Knicks' talent, Julius Randle's a B-plus player having an A-plus year. Derrick Rose is not a vertical finisher like he used to be. He's a good off-the-bench guy. Reggie Bullock. I mean, when you really watch, this is a prime example when you watch these highlights. They just don't really have an identity late in games. Why would they? Why would they have an identity? That's not what, by the way, last year, if you look up reports, the biggest complaint was, well, Kawhi is getting special treatment and Paul George was getting special treatment. Again, that doesn't happen if guys talk. And you can't blame coaches. At some point, this has always been a players' league. Players have the power. The NFL's not a players' league. NBA is. So that means you make the money, coaches get fired, not stars. But then when you're bad late in games, it falls on the player, not the coach. I'm tired of the coach getting whacked in the NBA. It's a players'